Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, Tory Lanez was sentenced to prison, allegedly for 10 years, and everybody has been going back and forth on social media, especially Twitter. Twitter has been just going insane, y'all. So as we all know, back in December, during the trial, the infamous trial that was publicized all over social media, Tory Lanez was convicted of 3 different charges that he actually pled not guilty to. Assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharge of a firearm with gross negligence, according to the prosecutors. Now, if y'all remember, this was only like 3 years ago, roughly, if I'm not mistaken, or 2.5, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't that long ago when this happened, but everybody remembers how whenever this first came out, whenever they went to the infamous Kylie Jenner party and all this went down, they were fighting like animals. Allegedly, somebody got shot. We only knew that it was Meg the Stallion, and we didn't know who exactly. They were coming out with all these diss tracks and all these songs, dropping all these hints, saying all this stuff that they should not have been saying. People went on whole mocking tours, if you will, towards Meg the Stallion, saying that, oh, she was lying and making jokes about her, etc., etc. And she didn't say as much as I feel like she wanted to or she could have, but there was a lot that they did, if y'all remember correctly, because I certainly do. All the jokes that they were cracking about her getting shot in the foot. She even came out with pictures of her in the hospital, I guess to try and prove that there was damage done to her foot. And there was a lot of going back and forth on whether he actually did shoot her or not. Some people still to this day don't believe that he actually shot Meg the Stallion. Now, there has been a running theory that I've seen on YouTube in a few places where some people believe that he shot in the air and then the bullets fell down, and when they hit the ground, the shrapnel, if you will, is what hit her in the foot. Now, me personally, I feel like that seems the most realistic of what happened in the situation. But even with that, because there are some people who do believe that theory, even with that, people try to minimize it and say, oh, well, she just got hit by the shrapnel, by the bullet fragments, like she didn't actually get shot in the foot. And I feel like that's even a slap in the face and even a mockery, to be completely honest, because that's like saying, oh, well, the guy, he just slapped you. He didn't punch you. Like, she got hit either way it goes. So what are you talking about? Some people were trying to say that it was glass that hit her in the foot. But if I'm not mistaken, somebody said that they came out with evidence stating that there was some kind of like bullet fragments in her foot, etc., etc. Like I said, many people did not believe that she actually got shot in the foot. And unfortunately, because I honestly believe that all 3 of them were probably drunk and high, allegedly, after they came from that party, we'll never actually know the full story from either of them because they couldn't tell us. It was years ago. They didn't probably forgot. And like I said, with whatever went on, however their mental state was altered, as I'm sure it was, like I said, you can't convince me otherwise, they wouldn't be able to tell us. Now, some people were trying to say that her friend was shady, that some people were trying to pin it on her friend. It wasn't until she actually came out and said he was the one who did it and identified him as the alleged shooter that some people, stopped maybe questioning. Then some people started questioning again because remember all the rumors and allegations that, Meg the Stallion was the other woman, so to speak, that was cheating with Tory Lanez when he was allegedly dating her best friend, her ex-best friend, and that this was some kind of fallout fight, and maybe she named him as atonement towards her friend. Like I said, it's a bunch of mess. It just went down in history as a bunch of mess. As I said, whenever I made my plethora of videos concerning it, we'll never know all the details, like I said. All I know is that something happened, her foot didn't shoot itself, and somebody was guilty, right? And there was some evidence that came out. Some people said that they don't believe the evidence. And I always try to be very understanding and extend mercy to both sides in situations like these. Yes, I understand there were some shady things that went down. All of them had their own reasons to try and save their own behinds. Let's just be honest. I don't think any of them told the full truth, if I'm going to be 100% honest. Meg did some dumb stuff that she shouldn't have done that put her in this position. I'm not saying she deserved to get shot in the foot. So please don't misconstrue what I'm saying and be so quick to be offended. I said in one of the previous videos that I made about this, I don't care how y'all feel about Meg the Stallion. Why was her goofy behind down there at Kylie Jenner's house to begin with? During the pandemic, mind you. I'm going to say it again. She shouldn't have been down there. While all the rest of us, normal folk, average Janes and Joes, were at our houses, locked in because the government told us we couldn't go nowhere, that outside was closed because C19 was walking around. They were out here throwing whole parties. Let's also not fail to mention that she quite clearly was having some drinking problems, allegedly. Some people were trying to say because of, the unfortunate loss that she suffered where her mother was concerned and all the drama she was going through with all the different labels she was signed to, and Mr. Carl Crawford, apparently he put her through the ringer too, apparently, that she was just going through it. But that's not to excuse bad behavior. You know how we do, what we promote here at Yoshi Entertainment. If this situation has not taught her a lesson, that she needs to do some self-reflection, which I do believe she's been doing, because ever since, she hasn't been in the media doing crazy stuff. So I do believe that she has taken this, like I said, as a lesson. First of all, be mindful of the company you keep, okay? Do the right thing, treat your friends right, and don't be going to everybody's houses, and pay attention to where you're at, what you're doing. Do better. Don't let these, issues, these tragedies in your life cause you to do stupid things and make stupid decisions. I think some people forget that she's young and she is still learning that. But again, we're not excusing any bad behavior. Now, like I said, that I've gotten that off my chest, I feel like people have been using that as an excuse to say, oh, well, this girl, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like, she was being reckless. Anybody could have shot her. They were claiming that his fingerprints were not actually even on the gun. All I know is what came out in court, which was very public. It was made very public, okay? And that was that apparently, allegedly, he was the owner of the gun. It was unlicensed and unregistered. Why are you walking around with an unregistered gun, sir? And to make things worse, he's not even from the U.S. Y'all have to understand, when you're on somebody else's soil doing goofy stuff and breaking the law, sometimes they hold you a little bit more accountable. Especially when you are, give me a drum roll please, black. What was he thinking? Of course, they're not going to hold him to the same low level of accountability like they do some of these other celebrities for all the obvious reasons. Of course, they're going to hold him to a higher accountability and put everything he does under a microscope because he's black. Like I said, there's that and the fact that he's not even from the U.S. He's Canadian. So you're over here on a completely different country's soil doing stuff allegedly that you have no business doing. A lot of people were pointing out that while y'all are trying to paint him as this nice guy who's done nice things for nice people, and there have been some people who came forward and said that he's done good things, that he's, a good person deep down inside, he's been out here doing a lot of raggedy stuff too. Just like I said for Meg Thee Stallion, why in the world was she there? Why in the world was he there? Like I said before, why in the world was he at somebody else's house at a party during the pandemic when his black behind should have been at his house? The supposed preacher's kid, if I'm not mistaken, who was allegedly supposed to be some good guy deep down inside that did good things for people. Why was he messing around with one chick, Kelsey, the best friend, who he was allegedly supposed to be in a relationship with, then go and hop in bed with and allegedly sleep around with Meg Thee Stallion, which is allegedly what caused the fight to begin with, that then escalated to this hot mess, and then had the audacity to take both of them to a party where he was then flirting, allegedly, with Kylie Jenner. And let's talk about that while we're on it. Why in the world was he at Kylie Jenner's house just on that alone? Everybody knows the reputation that precedes the Kardashians and the Jenners when it comes to black men. So why was he even over there to begin with? And another thing, allegedly, Tory Lanez wanted nothing to do with Jay-Z's label, which, if I'm not mistaken, is called Roc Nation. He didn't want to sign to that label. He didn't want anything to do with that label, which I don't blame him for. So then why, somebody please help me understand, was he running around with, sleeping around with, allegedly, doing stuff with that he had no business doing? The one person who was the poster child, if you will, for that label, which was Meg Thee Stallion at the time. Kind of still is, but at the time especially. The same thing I said about Meg Thee Stallion's fans, I'll say about the people who support Tory Lanez and his fans. They're treating people like they're stupid for not agreeing with them and supporting Tory Lanez and having more sympathy for this guy, even though he has done some raggedy things. And because a lot of what's happening to him, if we're going to be honest, is just simply the consequences of his goofy decisions that he chose to make. I just can't get over them trying to make him out to be this, pristine Christian young boy who just might have gotten caught up with some bad people when he was out here running around doing stuff with people that he had no business with and doing. I'm just saying it's hard to get caught up with anybody or in anything, especially some mess, when you're minding your own business where you're supposed to be minding it and doing the right thing. If it's the truth that he had an unregistered gun, let me repeat this. Why did he have it? It's hard to get caught up on some charges if you're not already involved in some mess, in some illegal activities. And like I said, people have already put out there that a lot of these rappers are already doing stuff that they're getting away with that they have no business doing. There were also the allegations that he was out here making it hard for Meg Thee Stallion after she finally came out and named him as the alleged shooter. That he was allegedly on some, if you go through with this, I'm going to make it hard for you, basically. Like I said, allegations, rumors. I don't know how true that part is. And also, like I said, on top of that, there were fans, other celebrities, rappers that were coming out of the woodwork to disrespect Meg Thee Stallion, make fun of her, all in the name of Tory Lanez. Now, the big issue right now is people are saying, okay, well, why was he being charged with 10 years for just this one crime? Why is it 10 years? Isn't that an extensive sentence for just this? That, insinuating that he doesn't deserve 10 years for what he's done. Now, if I remember correctly, whenever the trial was first going on in December, they were insinuating or alluding, allegedly, that they were going to give him double that. So first of all, y'all all need to be thanking God that it's only 10 and not 20 to 25. Like I said before, I try to be very extensive when it comes to grace and mercy towards people and what goes on and these little perspectives that people have. But for people to pop up on the internet and say they don't understand why he's being charged with 10 years and that that's a lengthy sentence. Did y'all forget that this man could have caused this woman, to lose her life because of his recklessness? Like I said, if it's true that he was out here firing shots like a madman, she could have lost her life. All of them could have lost their lives. All it would have taken is for the gun to be pointed in one wrong direction and for somebody to get shot in the wrong place, and we would have been having a funeral. Somebody's life was placed in jeopardy, okay? And then on top of that, people were pointing out, I'm circling back to this, y'all, how they humiliated Meg Thee Stallion after this. This woman's life was put in jeopardy. Yes, she made some reckless decisions, but she could have lost her life, and all some people could do was fix their mouths to mock her, humiliate her, talk about her, laugh at her about the issue. And the craziest part was that it was other celebrities. Y'all don't think that the judges had access to YouTube, to Instagram, to Twitter? Y'all don't think the judges and the jury and the lawyers, prosecutors, whoever else didn't see all these people making fun of her after she got hurt? Y'all are tripping for real if y'all especially think that they didn't see DJ Academics all over the internet with his goofy behind talking about a trial that had nothing to do with him, splooshing out information that he had no right, probably no legal right, allegedly, to sploosh out to begin with. Y'all don't think that they saw all their fans, all of his fans, coming for this lady? In my opinion, I honestly believe that the judges and whoever were responsible for, handing him his sentence probably said, oh, since y'all all want to get on the internet and y'all think it's funny to mock people, including these celebrities, to mock another celebrity, another human being after her life could have almost gotten taken away from her on some reckless mess, we got something for all of y'all. And what was stopping them from believing that this wasn't Tory Lanez? Any judge, any jury could have been like, wow, this dude got all these people out on the internet dragging this woman because she came out and she identified him as the shooter. That's probably what some of them thought too, because people have done that in the past. And if that was the case, which like I said, it very well could have been, I'm almost willing to bet money somebody along the way probably felt like it was his doing to have all these people come out and mock her, They were probably like, oh yeah, he definitely needs to go to prison then. If this is the kind of way he's moving towards somebody that allegedly was hurt by him, yeah, he definitely needs to go away in that case. Because if he wasn't guilty, then why would he do that? Why would all these people come out and try to support him and be this mean and cruel towards her? I'm just putting out what I think their thought process might have been and why they went through with it the way that they did like this. Let's also not forget that he's not from the U.S. I mentioned that before. I'm going to mention it again. So you're a Canadian, a foreigner essentially, you're black, on U.S. soil, committing alleged crimes you have no business committing, despite people saying and making you out to be some religious figure that you're not showing yourself to be in these situations. And all of your fans and people who are friends with you are making diss tracks and mocking this woman after she came out and named you as a shooter. What else were they supposed to think? I really don't know what else y'all expected them to do. And do I really have to bring up again, once again, that he was charged with having an unregistered firearm, which he also discharged and was charged for that with gross negligence, allegedly. Now, people have been saying, oh, well, there was no proof that the gun was his. Okay, let's even work that angle. Even if the gun was not his, once again, you don't think them judges, the judicial system, them white people, let's be honest, wasn't tired of him committing criminal acts on foreign soil? Allegedly, this dude was a whole 3-time convicted felon and was on parole. You know they don't play when it comes to black people and parole. You sneeze too hard, your behind is going to jail. And I remember this because back when the baby had that infamous Rolling Loud concert where he said what he said, which, a sidebar, I still don't think warranted the backlash that he got. And I'm no the baby fan. Okay, y'all know this about me already. But that's a different topic for another day, a different video for another day. This man came out on stage with the baby, y'all. And allegedly, whenever he did that, he violated his parole. So this dude is out here, like I said, multiple felonies under his belt and violating his parole. And I know some people might say, well, he wasn't on trial for violating his parole in those particular felonies. But still, they're going to get you one way or another, like I said. Then there was the infamous allegations that apparently nobody really knows that much about. I just found out about recently by Selena Powell. Yes, the Selena Powell, where she basically came on the internet and said that allegedly Tory Lanez had somebody jump her and beat her up. I don't know why, but that's what she was alleging. And nobody believed her. Once again, they made fun of her. They mocked her because of her reputation. Because who is she compared to Tory Lanez? And this is one thing, another sidebar that kind of pisses me off with people. So one moment, if somebody says, hey, you shouldn't be this type of woman, etc., you shouldn't live your life like this, y'all are saying that's judgmental. But then when it comes to some of these people's favorite celebrities that's being accused of something that they probably did, low-key, allegedly, then they want to say that same excuse, that same reason that they called everybody else judgmental for bringing up, they throw back in these people's faces and say, oh, why would they do that? Look at who you are. Look at what you do for a living. Who are you, like I said, compared to this person, which is really raggedy. But anyways, people keep failing to understand that these judges, these laws that are being put in place in some of these cities, these judicial systems, they do not operate the same cuckoo way that some of our communities operate. For example, whenever Meg Thee Stallion got up and, when the lawyers asked them, why didn't you name him if he was the alleged shooter whenever it first happened? And she fixed her raggedy mouth to say, oh, because we don't snitch on people in my community, making herself look real stupid. They don't operate like that. If you are an abuser in the community, they're not going to cover for you because they like you, because they want to be with you, because you're rich, because you're a celebrity. Once they've had enough of your foolishness, they're taking you down and they're using whatever they have to in order to do it. Especially when you really get out of line or you involve or endanger other people that don't look like you, if you get my drift. All of this went into what they were going to sentence him with, how long they were going to sentence him. So why people are surprised by a 10-year sentence, I can't really wrap my head around it. I'm going to be real honest. Now, another part of this ever-spinning web of mess was whenever Iggy Azalea was dragged earlier in Twitter, all over social media. So apparently she, amongst others, I think it was like 70 plus people, including Miss Iggy Azalea, wrote letters to the judge, I guess in hopes that they could get his sentence reduced. Or, tell them that, he's not a bad person as he seems to be. He just, like I said, made some random bad mistake, I guess, due to some lapse in judgment or whatever. Of course, when a trial happens, people keep forgetting how, some of the legal system works, I guess. I get it. I'm not expecting everybody to be a lawyer, but there are some ground rules, at the surface level that everybody should know by now. When it comes to these trials, nothing will be private. Everything is going to be public. It's going to be put out in the media. That's why some people don't go to trial. They choose not to go take things the legal route like this because everything will be made public, even down to the person involved in the trial. If you don't tell the lawyer everything, trust me, either your lawyer's going to find out or somebody else on the opposing team is going to find out and they're going to sploosh it everywhere. So you might as well just get ready for it. Anyway, you're involved, people are going to know. Everybody should know this by now. Now, like I said, this woman wrote a whole letter, and I read the letter because it's out there. Okay, it's out there on the internet for everybody to read. I read the letter. I'm going to be honest. I don't believe she wrote it herself. I think she might have paid somebody to write it. Allegedly. I could be wrong. But to make a long letter short, basically she was talking about how she'd worked with him in the past, how she knew him decently well, how he was a good person deep down inside. He did nice things for people. He looked out for people. Like I said, did things out of the kindness of his heart. And I've been seeing a lot of people running with this little, oh, well, he's human. He makes mistakes. And yes, we're all human who make mistakes, but not all of us do some of the stuff that he's done and then try to downplay it. But anyways, she was basically trying to vouch for him because that's definitely what this was, and trying to convince the judge that he wasn't a bad person, like how they were painting him out to be. And she had the audacity to respond with the backlash she was getting. People were mad at her. They were saying, okay, you're a woman. You were with a guy who actually abused a woman because, remember, she was with Playboy Cardi. Remember what happened with him and his, girlfriend. I hope they're not still together after that, but they were saying, you are a woman. How could you send that letter to the judge, basically vouching on his behalf, knowing the alleged crimes he has committed and knowing the abuse, allegedly, that some women have suffered at his hands, you being a woman yourself? Where is your empathy? Where is your compassion, especially towards Meg Thee Stallion? Like, what's wrong with you? And she had the audacity to, again, I don't understand why people like to gaslight and downplay. Just have a backbone and admit what you did. She had the audacity to make it seem like, it wasn't that big of a deal, claiming that she hadn't talked to him in months. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I wasn't trying to X, Y, Z, when that's exactly what she really was doing, or at least that's what it seems like. Because why else would you write a letter to the judge? Why? Of course, this is a normal thing people do when their, loved ones end up in prison. Even if they're in the wrong, they try to write a letter to soften the blow, hoping that the judge will say, oh, okay, I'll knock a year or two off the sentence. I understand, I guess, because she did work with him, but at the same time, I also understand the demographic of individuals who this particularly offends, why they would be offended by it. Now, once again, and for the last time, for anybody who still doesn't understand why he was getting 10 years or what went into that, or feels like it's still too long for what he did concerning Meg Thee Stallion, once again, this didn't just have to do with what happened between him and Meg Thee Stallion and the alleged gun that people don't believe that even belonged to him. This had to do with everything that also led up to that. Remember, once again, he is not even from the U.S. He was on parole, which he allegedly violated. He also has multiple felonies under his belt. All these alleged crimes that he was out here doing and getting away with. Once again, them judges out there, them lawyers, all them people, they are serious about this stuff. That violating parole and you getting away with stuff that you've been getting away with. And this little debacle with Meg Thee Stallion was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. And they finally were just like, well, we just gonna get him on everything that he should have been got on before and just make it a wrap. You might not agree with it, but sometimes that's how it goes, which is why, again, I don't understand why he was out here doing all this stuff, putting himself in bad situations, making dumb decisions, and people are still taking up for him, downplaying his actions, excusing them because it was done towards some person who I guess they don't like or they're not a fan of. But again, it's all fun and games until it's somebody that you care about personally. It's real easy to say, oh, he doesn't deserve that long, or that didn't happen, he didn't do that, when it wasn't you in that situation or somebody you care about. Now, I get it. I'm not here for you locking people away and throwing away the key. And that was another thing that people were talking about, including Iggy Azalea. Oh, well, we believe in prison reform. And people are calling her out and saying, no, you only believe in prison reform when you want to, when it's convenient for you, when it's a specific person and you can also take shots at other people. I do believe in prison reform. I do believe that certain people don't need to just be thrown in prison. They need actual help. But there are really more people, I also believe, that do actually need to be put in prison. Some of these people are not helpable, okay? You can put them through whatever you want to. Let them talk to as many therapists as you want them to, psychologists. As soon as you let them out, they will repeat the same things that they've been doing because they don't want to do better. It's not always about a psychological issue. It's just their willpower, the determination to keep doing the wrong thing. Only prison time sometimes can help people understand the error of their ways and maybe do better. But anyways, this situation is just a hot mess. It was a hot mess when it first happened. The trial was a hot mess. And it's still a hot mess, even after the sentencing. Like I said, they should be grateful that it's not double that, because if I'm not mistaken, and if I remember correctly, allegedly, they were going to give him like 20 or like 21 years, allegedly. So they need to be thanking God that it's only 10. And I didn't mention this before in the other videos, but as for his father talking about he's got prayer warriors all over the country, first of all, I do believe in prayer. I do also believe in the scripture, prayer without works is dead. So you can pray all you want to, but if your son is hell bent on doing crazy stuff, y'all are wasting your time. I very much do believe in the power of prayer and God and helping people in that way. Although, sir, where were your prayer warriors when your son was out here firing unregistered firearms with gross negligence in the rich white neighborhood of whatever city they were in? That's another reason why I think they also decided to throw the book at him. Did y'all forget where he was when he was shooting that unregistered firearm? Not just Meg the Stallion and Kelsey and his bodyguard could have caught a bullet, but somebody else who was just minding their business in their neighborhood that didn't look like them could have caught a bullet too. So like I said, where were your prayer warriors, sir, when that was happening? Why wasn't your son then, like I said, minding his business somewhere where he should have been and not doing this? Why weren't you praying for him then? And maybe he was, but again, if he wanted to do goofy stuff, guess what? Actions have consequences. God is not going to always swoop down and save you whenever you choose to do stuff that you know you're not supposed to do. But anyways, I know this was a long video, longer than my usual ones, but I wanted to try and cover as many bases as I possibly could. I wanted to put out all the information that I could remember and think of to put out there from the very beginning up until this point. I wanted to put my own viewpoints out there. I wanted to, like I said, try to look at both sides of the story, but still, tell the truth, what some people seem to not be able to do. I also want to promote some kind of thought and discussion from everybody else without them being offended or, having their personal feelings involved. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day.